coming up on The Source.
Some people, they just got to take off of work to do that. They're under Mayor James Baker, and it has never been funded.
If there's some unity there, there's some purpose for why they're trying to do what they're doing to support their constituents, that's most important.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's seniors. That's seniors. And when you come down to seniors, we don't mess around with them.
But he has money. He's white.
And then you even had the First Lady come out and say that due to poor sportsmanship, both teams should be invited to the White House.
Unacceptable.
That has never happened. How African Americans are perceived versus our white counterparts.
All this money into it. We're giving them money to go to school, and then when they come back home,
Dr. Curry, and before we get started with our source for today, I wanted to take this moment and hope and trust that you've had some time to reflect on the awesomeness of our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. God himself, wrapped himself in flesh, came to this world. And when he came to this world, he came to save a dying humanity and to receive him back to himself. The Lord Jesus, on this day, as we celebrate Resurrection Sunday, this is to remind all those who are believers that the price that the Lord paid and how he triumphantly got up again. He made some promises in his word that he would raise up this body. We remember about the dreadful day of Friday where so many had denied him, betrayed him, and did so many horrible things against him. However, it was Sunday morning, which is the most religious holiday on the Christian calendar, that he got up with all power in his hand. And I wanted to take this moment today just to say to all of you, while politically correctness is good for some occasions, I will not compromise the heart of who we or what we believe as Christians, and that is in the power of the Almighty God. He rose Jesus from the dead. This day we celebrate it. This day we acknowledge it. This day we call to our remembrance who he is and what he has done. While there are many who will not call the name of Jesus because of various reasons, while many will tell you you should not even say his name, but just keep the universal God, and that'll be good enough. As Christians, those of you who watch me, please note I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we must raise very loudly the true triumphant God that we serve. Yes, Friday was dreadful, but Sunday morning, he rose with all power in his hand. So today, we honor the Lord Jesus Christ, and I hope that you took some time out of your schedule, not just trying to find the Easter eggs, not just trying to find the right meal to eat for this day, but I hope you took some time to thank him for all that he has done for you. While we were yet sinners, he died for us, and on the third day morning, he got up with all power in his hand. I'm grateful for that today, and I hope you will be grateful. And how do you show your gratitude? By thanking him, by praising him, by giving him glory for all that he has done. Yes, we have the jobs. Yes, we have the families. Yes, we have the friends. But without the Lord, none of it matters. So to this day, we want to say thank you to the Lord for all that he has done. I hope and trust that we will look at Resurrection Sunday more than just as some commercial event. This was serious, but this also speaks to the power of the Almighty God. I trust that you will have done that, and I trust that you will continue to celebrate his awesomeness. God bless you, and we will come right back with The Source.
every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
And we're back. We have already had an opportunity to open up the show with talking a little bit about Resurrection Sunday. I don't know if you got a chance to do anything spectacular, but I wanted to open up this show to ensure that we represent what we the Christians believe. But for the local news today, I just want to just hit a couple things and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
The first thing is what's going on with this former Apple Cornbreak. I can't even say the name of the school district, but their administrator who was arrested for sexual solicitation, and they found out that this gentleman had kind of engaged a 17-year-old girl with some inappropriate text messages.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with our administrators or teachers.
Right. Yeah, it's at Middletown High School. And what's really concerning to me is that the police said they do believe there might be more victims. Right. So this isn't his first time doing it.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that this student was able to speak up. Because we don't know if it's a 17-year-old girl or boy, do we?
Yeah, it was a girl.
Female. Okay, I'm about
Yeah,
to say
yes,
you never
yes.
know. But yeah,
you're right.
17-year-old
Yeah.
female. She was able to speak up so that it can end. But just thinking about all the other females in that school who just didn't speak up about it for some reason is kind of concerning. But I'm glad that they're doing something about it. I'm glad that the police have, are charging him with this. So let's see
Yeah.
where it goes.
Well, I want to say hats off to Appoquinimink School District, and the reason why is because as soon as they got wind that there was any impropriety, I will give them credit. They immediately removed him from their staff. So while not proving guilty yet, it was enough information they had in order to say, you know what? We just don't need you. We don't want this type of behavior, this type of person over our children. So I
Yes.
think that was good.
He was issued a no contact order, but he was released after posting a $60,000 cash bail. So he's home. I guess was waiting for his next court hearing. So
Yeah, well, because when you're dealing with children, he should not be home. He should be sitting in jail waiting.
Should be
But
sitting in jail.
you also got to pay attention to he's not African American.
Yeah, I know.
No disrespect, but that's just how it goes. Especially in the state of Delaware. So hats off to Appoquinimink for doing what they did, but also for the state police for jumping on this right away. And I hope and trust that it does come out stronger. One other thing we want to do in this segment is I want to so much talk is going on with Trump with these 34 charges. I don't think some people understand black people. I'm gonna bring it this way.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it this way. Although what Trump did not know, you look in Atlanta, a sister who's gonna bring these charges. You look at in New York, a brother brought. You can't threaten us and think that we just gonna go away.
Yep.
And while I do believe he's guilty, I just can't believe he is sending out the text messages that he's sending out, or not text messages, but the posts that he's doing on True Social or whatever his group is. And he really think he was going to scare somebody.
And even the fact he had like a whole rally after he came home, and I remember watching pieces of it, and he was just so arrogant and cocky, and I actually came up with like, this system is corrupt, and I'm the victim, right? And that was his convo or mentality, and I thought of like he's probably now going to take on. Now he can relate to black folks now because he's a victim in the criminal justice system. So now he kind of understands and get it. So I think he's going to try to use that angle, and that's what I felt from him. But yeah, I think he's definitely guilty.
Yeah.
But is he going to really be charged for it?
Yeah, I do believe he's going to be found guilty, even though we don't know clearly the charges that were put up against him, because they just gave a general scoop, but it's serious.
And that his likings went up. Like people like this
his
is
people
helping him. Yes.
His people, but his people is going to be his people. That's the Republican Party. They're going to do what they do. He cannot get reelected. I mean, even though a lot of Democrats and conservatives, or not conservative, but independents said that he personally, it seemed like it's a political situation.
Yeah.
But they also said that they felt that he should have been arrested. He should have been charged.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
since that's right there, will tell you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Should definitely arrest him. He shouldn't have came home, but he has money and he's white.
And there's no way in the world he's going to probably spend. And I don't care what the charges are, even with the federal. He's probably going to spend no time because he's going to keep appealing until he dies. So that's how that works with people who got money. You know, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You got to get your money so you can
I'm
you can
trying.
so you can continue to appeal this in case somebody come after you. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to bring that up to those of you who are watching us. That yes, we see what's going on with the Trump situation. I'm looking forward to seeing all of it come to fruition. People argued, well, should this attorney general from New York been the lead? It doesn't matter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. What matters is that he's being charged, and because he's being charged, rightfully so, we hope we can get a conviction.
Yeah. Hope so.
That's all we hope for. So I just wanted to bring those two things up: one, the Trump and the Abercrombie school district for today. We're really
News all across the nation. Wilmington's latest headlines. Advocating for change in the community with Dr. C.T. Curry, Kobe Owens, and Shanae Darby. Tune in to The Source every Sunday at 5 p.m.
back. Well, what's going on with Shanae Scoop this week?
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to give an update on the budget hearings for City Council. We completed week 1.
Okay.
So every Monday and Wednesday, starting at 4:30, we'll be hearing from several departments for the month of April.
Okay.
So our first night, we heard from Parks and Rec. And I think they're really doing some good things. They want to start a swim team for the city, which I thought was really good. And I know you're a swimmer.
Yes,
you
yes.
know? So I thought of you. I was like, he would really like this.
Yes.
But yeah, so Parks and Rec budget was really good. I didn't really have any complaints or any thoughts about Parks and Rec, except for the fact that they kept saying they're finding it hard. They have a lot of vacancies.
Yes.
And they're finding it hard to put people into these seats. They want to, and I will talk about this later in Kobe's Scoop or Political Today with Kobe, but city residency, they kept saying that is an issue. But after asking, like, what are some other things going on, they said, really, when people get down to the offer and realize what the pay is, a lot of them say no. Right? Some people don't want to work for $50,000 and have to stay at a building all day from 9 to 5 and be overworked. I'm sorry, people are just not into that anymore. And my thing is, even if we extend city residency, why would someone from Newark want to drive up here for $50,000? Why would someone from Bear or out of the state want to drive up for that type of pay? So I know they also announced that the city is doing an assessment on a compensation study at all the positions throughout the city to see what they should be getting paid compared to what's going on with surrounding cities and comparable industries. So I was like, okay, that's good, but for the meantime, we're having issues with vacancies within Parks and Rec. And also the same thing with Public Works. Public Works was that night. So Public Works is a very unique department. It's funded through three funds: the general fund, the motor vehicle fund, and the water sewer fund. Right? Water sewer fund is just collections from people's water bills.
Right.
The general fund and the motor vehicle fund comes from taxes, so wage tax, different taxes that happen for us to get our money as a city. So we went over the general fund tax part of the Public Works, and pretty much some of the same things with vacancies. And I know Kobe's going to hit on that later, but it's kind of a concern that we're not getting quality people, or we're not getting people from the city of Wilmington to work. And also we need to have competitive salaries.
Yeah, well, you got a couple of things I want to just throw in your head as an entrepreneur in this city. When the wages went up, it did give people an opportunity to have a better living
Right.
wage. However, everybody is experiencing
That.
help.
Okay.
And you saying $40,000, $50,000, and to some that is a good salary,
Right.
and they're willing to stay. The problem is, though, in the industries that we're in, because of some of the free monies, because I know you're one of my liberal friends, because of some of the free monies that are being given out, why work when you can get almost that amount of money staying home? And that's where there's a conflict that's starting to happen. Every daycare is crying. Can I get a certified teacher who is quality? Now you can get people who are not quality, and it can just mess up your whole reputation. But even with the with when you're dealing with not public works, but the other one, recreation,
Yeah, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. There are some positions. I mean, if you market it right, there are residents who would love to take that position, but are they the qualified ones?
Right.
And that's what the problem is. And I think that's what the
And I love that you said marketing, because that's so key and important. You can't just post something on social media and post it on a city website and think that's marketing,
Yeah,
right?
right.
You got to really do outreach in the community, especially in the city of Wilmington. You're not, everybody's not on Facebook. Everybody's not going to look on
Absolutely.
Instagram for a job. I don't go on Instagram looking for jobs.
Right.
Honestly, I'm going to go look at videos, and that's my downtime. So I think we really have to look at a better marketing strategy
Mhm.
to getting city of Wilmington. And I'm for hiring the city of Wilmington. I don't think there's a lack of talent in the city of Wilmington. I think there's a lack of marketing on the city end side. And then there's also people complain about some of the work environments. I
Yeah.
know someone who got hired for the city of Wilmington, worked there for 2 days, and left because they said it was not a conducive place for them to work. They
Mm.
didn't feel welcomed, and it was a lot of toxic, like,
Mm.
things going on in that department, and it was like, oh no, I'm going back to my old job. Like, they're
Wow.
not doing this.
Yeah.
So you have to address all of those things. I suggested maybe doing a survey for the employees to see how you can make a better workspace and different things like that. And one cool thing that I like that the Public Works Department that they will be doing, they're now going to be doing robocalls, but I really think they should do text messaging. That was my offer for special trash pickup. So they're trying to catch up with times, because even with the other night, which was actually finance, and who was the other group? Finance, and I can't think of the other group right now who presented. But they were all talking about having to catch up with, like, having electronic applications online. Right, so people can go online and do an appeal instead of having to write a letter and send it in,
Right.
or print out a utility billing assistance for you to get help with your water bill. You literally have to print that application out, fill it out, and you have to drop it off down at the building. That, for some people, they just got to take off of work to do that.
Right.
To find a
Okay.
printer,
Okay.
fill it out, and then go to the city building. Like, that's a whole two days
But
work.
does the city have the infrastructure to be able to handle online services like that? Because that's what
So this is the budget hearing. So they
Okay,
could put it
yeah.
in their budget and say, we want to go
Okay.
online
Alright.
with some of our processes, and that's what we should be moving towards: the text messaging, the robocalls, the online. And of course, we still can have the other options, but I think at least, I don't know, 70-80% of people do things online, and then we still got to think about the 30%, because there's still our seniors
Right.
and people who may not have access to the internet or electronics, or what may not be technology. So I think we still need to make sure that we're providing those options. But Wilmington has to keep up with times, and we
Absolutely.
haven't been doing that. And then another conversation that came up for the finance department, it was a really long meeting, but there were a lot of great questions around parking reform, which is, the mayor administration had proposed a $40 to $25 decrease for parking tickets, but they showed that it was going to have a major impact on the city's budget. But there were other areas that we were doing really well in, like our water sewer fund is doing really well, right? So there's
Sure.
it's sure. I'm pretty sure, because we went from quarterly to monthly,
Yeah.
and that quarterly price is now our monthly price, right? So now they are making more money. So we do have a great uh, water sewer fund. But also, they're going to create $250,000 they're going to put into the utility billing water assistance program. Currently, right now, we get federal funds to
Okay.
run that. That's how we always ran that program, but those funds will end.
Oh wow.
Right, so there's some really good things about the budget, and some things I'm not a fan of, like increasing fees and fines across the board
Right.
for all people, and providing caps to big developers.
Right.
The rental license fee is $100 per unit, but once they get to 101 units, there's a cap. So these big developers like BP&G, who might have 3, 4, 500 plus. Now they're paying less per unit because you have 500 but capped at 10.
Yeah. Now the finance group have not gone yet, right?
They went
Oh, they
already.
did
The
go. Okay.
finance department went.
Okay.
What's coming up? Like, as mayor's office is coming up. City council. So those things are coming up this week, and also the water sewer fund part of Public Works. To talk more about water billing and what money comes out of the water sewer fund to run Public Works. So it's been an interesting week. It's long nights. So yeah, I'm excited for the budget hearing. I'm excited for the
Are we
video.
getting a nice participation of the city council members at these hearings?
Yeah, so we can be in person or virtual, but the
Okay.
majority of us are in person.
Okay,
I think
good.
I've seen everyone at least
Okay.
on Monday or Wednesday.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
there is
Excellent.
participation, community participation, not so much.
Right.
People should come out to voice
Yes.
how you feel about our budget. What do you think should be a part of this budget,
It gives
right?
people the license, it gives the council license, just go ahead and vote on it and say yes when no one is showing up, when no one is voicing any concern. So I agree with you that we do need to make sure that the community is coming out, because
Right.
as soon as they start voting, yay, let's pass the budget, and then they don't like things in the budget, but where was your voice?
Right, yeah, and then there's one thing too that City Council did agree on as a group that we're unified on. We asked for $2 million to go towards a housing fund opportunity.
Okay.
Housing Opportunity Fund is actually called. So it was a fund that was created under Mayor James Baker, and it has never been funded. So he created this fund in the real estate and housing, and when you put money into this fund, you could use it for any housing initiative or program. So I know I'm gonna talk about Ingleside in a second, but I know a lot of our seniors are experiencing bed bugs. So we can just a potential initiative we could do is helping seniors with the bed bug initiative with relocation, right? Relocation of seniors who are experiencing bed bugs. That could be one initiative out of the $2 million, right?
Yeah.
We could do landlord education, renter education.
Oh, okay.
We could do relocation services because recently we had Adams
Street.
Not Adam Street. There's another building that was just condemned. I cannot think of the name of it, but right on Market Street, it was another building that was condemned due to water, and a lot of those people had nowhere to go.
Oh, wow.
Right, so same situation is happening over and over again in the city. Why don't we have like this housing opportunity fund where we can create a relocation service so that residents can say, "Hey, I need help paying this." And then what happens is already by law, if you have to be relocated, your landlord has to pay for that, right? But sometimes landlords don't have the money or they ask for reimbursement, right? I, I don't know. At the last minute, I don't think I'm gonna have $100 and something per night, $200-300 just to pay for a hotel and then be reimbursed later. That's not realistic for most people,
Right.
Even the reimbursement piece. So how do we? I think the city could play a major role in probably working with the landlord and saying, okay, we could pay this and then you reimburse us.
Now, who put this budget, that $2 million up? Is that the city council part, or is that the mayor's office?
That's the city council's part, but it's not in our budget. It would actually be in another part of the budget.
Well, so is the mayor supporting this?
He is not. He did not put it. So we made requests, and then he presented to us what he wanted.
Okay.
And it's not in there. So we're saying, as a council, we're going to say we're not voting on this budget, or we're
Okay.
not going to do this until you put $2 million into this housing opportunity fund, because we understand. And one thing we all can agree on is housing is important. There's a lot of services that could be done with that $2 million.
Okay.
So that's one thing.
So you said, and I don't want to put you against the council, because if you saying you supporting everything, this is a unified, bipartisan group. I think that this is awesome. So is that more all the council or most of the council?
All of the council.
Okay, well, he's going to put it in. Trust me when I tell you.
Also our community support fund. So all of us get money each year to give out money to people in our district,
Absolutely.
different nonprofits.
Absolutely.
We asked for $300,000. He gave us $175 to split amongst 13 of us.
175,000.
Yeah, 175,000 is split between 13 of us. Come on.
And you asked for 300,000.
We asked for 300,000.
Okay.
We should really give more.
Right.
But he cut it in half and said, "Nah, y'all can share 175,000."
Are they feeling good about not supporting the budget without that being in there?
Correct. That's another
Excellent.
point where we're all like, we
Excellent.
can all agree on this as a council, and we're not going to allow the mayor to pass this budget without having at least those two things we have talked about.
Hey, you gotta always have something, and that makes me feel good. Not so much that there's other things that we totally disagree with as it relates to the budget, but if there's some unity there, there's some purpose for why they're trying to do what they're doing to support their constituents. That's most important.
Yes, yes, yeah. So no, so I'm excited to be a part of this budget hearing. I'm studying the book. I'm asking a lot of questions. I know council people probably over me.
That's
Like
all right.
here she go with another question, but these things are very important.
Yeah.
And like even looking at like property tax assessments, we talked about how a lot of our developers they can go to Newcastle County for appeal on the value of their assess the value of their property so that they don't have to pay as much taxes as they should, right?
Mhm.
So that's impacting our bottom dollar, right? So how do we work with Newcastle County on those type of things? But most recently, I got a call from Ingleside seniors,
Okay.
and they were really upset about a lot of issues going on. But the main thing were bed bugs.
Oh,
So one
wow.
of the residents got everyone together in a public space
Okay.
at Ingleside Senior Living and said, let's talk about some of the issues going on here. The management did not want them to meet about this.
Mm.
So they called the police on seniors.
Oh, wow.
And I was so shocked. I'm like, is this not a public space? Or y'all, is there somewhere in your handbook to say you can't meet to
Right.
talk about issues in your
Yeah.
building? Like, no, that's your right.
Right.
Like they violated it, and then they're retaliating against some people for evictions.
Oh, wow. Now, let's make sure we got a clear understanding.
Yes.
First of all, when it comes down to seniors, if I got to devote the rest of the show to this, I'm very much there. Now, they are having bed bug issues there?
Yes, this
And that's
infestation. Yes.
what's the name of the Inglewood?
Ingleside.
Oh, Ingleside.
Ingleside on
Okay.
Franklin Street.
Right,
Yep.
absolutely. So, how large is that facility about? I mean, how many people? You know me about how many residents in there? I just don't know.
I'm not
I know
sure
the building.
how
I see.
many residents
Okay.
are in there, but
Okay.
that I know that particular building, they are like they have some HUD funding, it's some private
Right.
management,
Okay.
it's like a mixed type building.
Okay.
So you have seniors of very low income to moderate income who are in that building, some who are privately paid, some who are funded by vouchers through the state or
Okay.
through federal.
Understood.
Right? So a lot of them are just don't know their rights or what's supposed to
Absolutely.
happen.
But
for
tell me about
repairs.
this police call.
Yeah, so so they just called a meeting and said let's meet
Right.
as people to say this is what's going on
Uh-huh.
at at our location where we're living.
Uh-huh.
Management does not want them to talk about the issues they're having.
Oh, really?
Right? They do not want to tell people. They're telling people we're dealing with it. We're dealing with it. They're also allowing people. A few people were upset that they moved in, not knowing that this place was infected with bed bugs.
Yeah. Now, how are they dealing with it? Because since they said they're dealing with it, you.
So this is how they're dealing with it.
Uh-huh.
So they are exterminating, but
Okay.
they're doing one room at a time.
Okay.
So if you exterminate one room, the bed bugs can leave and go next door and then come back.
Yeah, but
Right?
I learned something when I was going through, because I used to be a landlord as well in Philadelphia. When some of my tenants has had some bed bugs, I had to fumigate the whole house, and it has to be a process.
Yes.
You can't just spray and say, okay, they're going to go away. You got to literally do certain things. How do they stay in the facility if they're really going to get rid of this infestation?
Right. So from what I'm hearing is that the building is saying they don't have enough money to relocate everyone, right? So this is the best remedy that they have is to do one unit at a time. So they're putting a Band-Aid on a situation that really needs stitches, right?
Wow.
And it's like, how do we provide or help do this? And we are talking to management, we're talking to residents. The union, tenants residents union got involved on like providing some services to them. The attorneys at Classy are involved. So we were able to wrap them around with some services and say, all right, so let's come up with some solutions and figure out what we could do next to help you guys, because no one should have to live with bed bugs eating them alive. Some of their bodies, you can see the
Oh, wow.
marks, like the marks going up their arms. Some of them show me pictures of their backs and their legs. They're literally getting eaten up at night by these bugs.
Now, have you had an opportunity? First, is this in your district?
It is not in my district.
Okay, whose district is this in?
I believe it's
What
the
di-
4th district. 10th and Franklin? I think it might be the 4th district.
Okay, well, first we got to figure out whose
Yeah.
district it is, and the reason why I say that because I know that you're a very strong advocate. So I'm not going to criticize the fact that you're in somebody else's district, because some people will. Why is she in that district? I want to clear that up real quickly because somebody else is not
I'm
allowing
going
their
to all the
voice.
districts.
Right,
I hope y'all know I'm
yeah.
going to all the senior high rises.
Right, because there's a need for a
Right.
voice. All right, because I just know how the politics work. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, why is she over there? That's not even her district. It is your district because you're a city council person and you're bringing it to the attention of the people.
Be advocate first.
Absolutely.
Before anything else,
Absolutely.
be advocate it.
So I guess so we'll figure that piece out. But then I want to know, have you had any conversations with the management?
Yes, we are talking to them now.
And
Yeah.
and they're saying basically we just don't have the funds.
Yep, they do not have the funds.
That doesn't while it may be true, then what about a loan? Because the reality of it is we have to do something. How are you going to do this disrespectfully to our seniors? That
Yeah.
bothers me. So we're going to can we just make sure that
Yeah.
we have some follow up on that?
Yeah.
Next week we want to follow up, and I think I'm going to get involved as it relates to being. I may even do a visit because at the end of the
Yes,
day, that's
please
seniors.
do.
That's seniors, and when you come down to seniors, we don't mess around with them. Is there anything else on your docket that you wanted to grab it
No,
up?
nothing at all.
Because we run out of time, but I do want to make sure that we don't rush this. I wish this would have been your first item because
Right.
then I would have been able to address it. But next week we will definitely come back to
Do
it.
it. Yeah.
All right, so we'll be right back.
New guests, new conversations, new stories every Sunday at 11 a.m. Grab your cup of coffee and tune in with Dr. Curry for our weekly episodes of Coffee with Curry.
And we're back. Well, let's see what's going on with the Kobe's Corner.
Yeah, so first off, I want to talk about something I usually don't talk about, and that's sports. I'm a
Okay.
huge sports fan. And just last week was the championship for the women's basketball tournament.
Yeah.
It was LSU, the Tigers versus another team led by Caitlin Clark. LSU Tigers won. Their star player, who was a star throughout the tournament, used to go to Maryland University, transferred to LSU a year ago,
Yeah.
and made history. She did a gesture of "You can't see me," right? That
Yeah.
everyone thinks comes from John Cena, but it really doesn't. It comes from the Wu-Tang
Mhm.
Clan. She made a gesture, right? Now, the interesting part of it all was Caitlin Clark had did this during the Louisville game just 3 days prior when they beat them to advance to the playoffs. And everyone praised her for it. It was the drive. It was, this is what sports is all about. Now, Caitlin's white.
Yes.
Now, Angel Reese does it. She wins a championship. She does the "You can't see me" and then adds "I got a ring."
Right.
And she gets demonetized. You have sports reporters start tweeting out, "Oh, this is classless. This is she's idiot," and stuff like that. And then you even had the first lady
Yeah.
come out and say that due to poor sportsmanship, both teams should be invited to the White House.
Unacceptable.
That has never happened.
Unacceptable.
Now, teams have been uninvited to the White House.
Oh, yes.
Like my Philadelphia Eagles when we won in 2018. Trump ain't want us there.
Yeah.
But there has never been an invite for both the champions and the runner-ups,
team.
right? It's an opportunity. It's a part of winning, right?
Right.
And as someone who plays sports from elementary all the way to college, that's what you do it for, right? You
Yeah.
do it to win the trophy. I don't care what anyone says. It's not for participation.
Yeah.
You do it to win the trophy at the end,
Right.
and you do it for the what comes along with
With
that,
it,
right?
right.
You get to go down to Leg Hall. You get to go to the White House or whatever it may be. So that caused a lot of backlash. I just want to say when Archmere won their state championship up here not too long ago, they all were invited down to the White House and no additional teams were invited then. So again, I just think that moment, right? And it was funny because I was in a text group and we were all saying, people ain't going to like this, right? I was rooting for LSU. A predominantly black team versus a predominantly white team.
You always root for the black team.
Right? It's like when you watch Family Feud. Like, come on now. So we joked about it,
But they
and
were
then
for the team anyway.
they were.
But go ahead.
But when we got on social media, we saw the reaction people were having, and they were losing their minds over that small gesture. And I think it highlights not just in sports, but also in media, how African Americans are perceived versus our white counterparts.
And I see that all the time.
Yeah.
I see that as being a politician here in Delaware. And I find it quite funny that some people were supporting her and how her response is. But the same black women who do the same thing in their city or state, they demonize and criticize them for being the same way. And that's what I love about her, is that they tried to humble her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a constant theme when I think about just being a black woman in the spotlight. They try to humble you, and they expect for you to always take the high road,
Mm-hmm.
right? No, I am not your magical Negro.
Magical Negro.
I am not here for your comfort.
Yeah.
I don't care how comfortable you are if I want to be me. And that's what I love about me specifically, also thinking about the next generation, especially the next generation of young black people. Like, yo, they just are like breaking all types of like ways of that they tell you to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, y'all call me ghetto, y'all call me this. All right, I'm that. What's up?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not looking to appease what y'all think I should be and look like. And I love that about the next generation. I love that about her.
Yeah, I hope that somebody got to Jill and let her know don't do that again.
Yeah,
I like her. I like
the
Jill.
team
but-
has definitely talked to her.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. So, LSU beat Iowa. They beat them, I think it was by almost 20 points, right? Angel Reese, she's known as the Bayou Barbie, right? And she even talked about it in her post-game interview about how all season long she's been called ghetto and all this other stuff. Tweets were sent out because the Iowa team, after their advancing to the championship game, they were listening to High School Musical. Whereas the LSU women's team was listening to Boosie, who is from Louisiana.
Yeah.
So anyone who knows, it's just a cultural difference there. And the fact that they try to pick at every little thing we do, it goes back to, now I'm going back to the policy, right? It goes back to, we can do the same thing, but we're treated different. We see that in policing. We see that in enforcement of marijuana policy. We see that in housing. We see that in our health outcomes and everything that comes around full circle. So that is what we're dealing with here in America. But that takes me to my next point, right?
Okay.
So some legislative updates. One, Senate Substitute 1 to SB 1, which is the right to representation, is officially out of committee in the House.
Okay.
It passed the Senate 2 weeks ago. It is now ready to go to the House floor. Now, it is Easter break time for them, so they'll be out for 2 weeks and then they'll be back. So we're expecting it around end of April, early May.
Okay.
It will be voted on, and the governor will be signing it. It was in his general operating budget, so the funds are there and everything. This is going to be a huge program that's going to help individuals who are facing eviction to either kind of mediate some of the issues that was going on and making sure that it's a fair eviction going on as well.
So you're saying that tenants who do not have money to retain a lawyer, who feel they're right and they've been violated, whatever their rights are, can now get counsel.
Correct. So legal counsel or a qualified tenant advocate.
Okay.
The advocates is a very similar position to what the landlords use already. Most of them actually don't use attorneys.
They fill out a form and now they can use
right.
whoever.
Exactly. So now the court's expanding that to make it equal,
Okay.
so that the other side can also do that, and we're calling it qualified tenant advocates. So they'll be one of the three legal aid organizations in Delaware will be responsible for administering their credentials and holding them accountable to their actions, but they will be able to go in court and work with these people.
And the stats are really crazy. It's
Yeah.
like currently now it's only like 1% of tenants are represented, where it's like 90% of landlords come in with some sort of representation. Like, we got to balance that out. Like,
Well, it's going to balance it out, but the PR is going to be important.
Yeah.
So now that you're saying it has not finished the House yet, but once it's signed into law, there has to be a PR put out there. It has to be out there where people know in the city of Wilmington.
Yeah.
And on 4th Street, you paid your rent. You have a right to representation, because most times landlords, they really I was a landlord for many years. I just decided to get rid of them because I got busy with some other things, and I was not a slum landlord neither. Matter of fact, they lived better than me in some cases. Check it, baby. Check it. Check it. Check it. That's why I make statements because I think it's important that you treat people. I love poor people because I was poor my whole life, and I love older people because that's what raised me. So that two communities I'm very dear
Close.
to both of them. One paycheck away. But let me just say that I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that, and I hope and trust that gets out there and people can know their rights.
So again, it's been a long 3-year process of
Yeah.
trying to set this up.
Yes.
A lot of organizing,
Yeah.
a lot of going down and being in Sussex in those backwood, sundown towns in some of the places down there. But we really have done a good job of listening to all sides. We've worked with the landlord association, we've worked with tenants, we've worked with attorneys and legal aid organizations, we've worked with civil rights organizations. So I think this bill is a great bill. It's not the end all be all, but it's a great bill and a great first step in making sure we have more equitable criminal justice system. I'm so sorry. I don't know.
Well, that's all right. No,
I
no,
have coffee today.
Well, then you better get your coffee. But look, I do want. That's a good segue to our sister too, because sometimes she gets very upset because even though you're very firm in who you are, and I appreciate that so much, you get upset when people things don't go the way you think it ought to go. A little patience, because I remember almost 2 years ago when you started talking about it, and there was some like, why wouldn't people just want to do it? Is what I was thinking. But look at what's happening now. It's starting to come. Just even with the city council, we're gonna see a shift. I still believe it. You stay the course. Do not give up and quit, because that's what most negative systems want you to do. Give up and quit, and then these type of things doesn't happen. People all stay in their positions. But with Loretta Walsh not being here, I wanted to throw that out there. It's going to be an interesting shift. Go ahead, back to you. I'm sorry.
And as we continue to work in the housing space, our kind of our next step is how do we create more affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
So looking at how can we create a revenue stream that can go directly into building mass affordable housing to kind of decrease that gap that we have right now.
The mayor is not going to support you.
Well, it's not. Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
The mayor can do whatever he wants, but we're going to do this on a state level. Even though there is a huge need here, if he wants to make his people suffer, well, guess what? I hope all those people come out and vote him out.
No, he's not going. Oh, I'm sorry, because he ain't going to make his people suffer, because his people are the ones building all these luxury apartments.
Well, no. His friends are building the luxury apartments. And guess what? At the end of the day, you represent everyone in this city, and he hates to hear opposition from anyone who doesn't agree with him, which is the vast majority of the city. He has never once won over a plurality of the vote, or he's won the plurality, but he has not won a 50% margin yet. He only wins because there's multiple people in the race. And the fact is this: he acts as though he is the kingmaker. Him, his staff, his administration, they love doing all these things. And if you speak out against them, they try to tear you down. They try to get you fired. He acts like a dictatorship. But guess what? We have an answer for him in 2024.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but I didn't know that before now, because now they got rid of my program because I spoke out against them.
They tried. They tried.
No, they didn't improve my program. They didn't improve my housing.
Yep.
But don't you ever think that I'm...
Yeah, he even didn't include in the budget. City Council asked for $2 million to go into our Housing Opportunity Fund, which was created, as I explained earlier, under Mayor James Baker. It has never been funded. So I was like, we should have money towards housing. And then I was talking to Mayor James Baker. He was like, I created a Housing Opportunity Fund. He's always coming up with something he created.
Yeah.
And we requested that. And the mayor administration is like, nah, we're not including that. But now the budget is in our hands. So City Council, we're willing to unify on that $2 million being in a Housing Opportunity Fund, so that we can create different programs to help with relocation. Because we know we just had some issues with another displacement of some people with water on Market Street, and even helping with some of the seniors with the bed bugs at Ingleside and other places like
Ingleside, Herring Manor.
Yep, Lutheran Towers 1, Lutheran Towers 2, Parkview, all of them have bed bugs.
Oh my gracious!
It's an issue. Bed bugs. The common theme I'm hearing is bed bugs, and they're not getting their receipts. And by law, you're supposed to get your receipt. So then they'll come to them 5 months later and say, you didn't pay me rent for 5 months.
Oh Lord! Now y'all starting another whole problem.
It's a whole
not with the
thing
seniors.
with the seniors. That's the same thing. Y'all like not the seniors.
Yeah.
They had me go to a tennis rights workshop. I was like, how do we start a tennis rights workshop? Because I was like, I can't do this no more. Not the
Yeah.
seniors.
Yeah, I like the way you got very emotional just then when I told you that the mayor ain't going to support it, and a lot of this stuff when you talk about seniors, we got to make sure we educate them too. We're gonna let
That's
you
what we
go on.
just did
We're
at
gonna give you the
Ingleside.
time you need to finish up your
Yep.
points, but we really got to make sure our seniors are knowing the level of distrust that is happening. Where how could the seniors be in y'all are named other facilities. You're talking about receipts not being given. How
Yep.
could this be so? And if so, what is the mayor doing? See, the problem is they send over chicken dinners to these high rises
And they
and
think
things,
it's
and,
okay.
and it's not. It's not. I'm sorry. It's like a
No, the
Warcraft.
next thing I
I
want to
can't
talk
wait to
about
24.
the next thing I want to talk about is the city residency requirement.
Okay.
So, it's a residency requirement that was at one time it was at 12 years, then 10 years, now 5 years. They want to get rid of it,
Oh.
right? They're saying that they need to get rid of it in order to bring in better qualified candidates for these positions, right? That they have all these positions that are sitting vacant right now. Whereas under Mayor Seals and Mayor Baker, a lot of these positions that they're looking to fill now were held by people who didn't have degrees. But guess what? They got the on-the-job training and they excelled at it and they stayed in these jobs for years, decades. But now this administration has put all these extra requirements on it. Now they're saying, oh, well, now no one meets the requirements. So now we have to go outside the city and allow people not to have to move in here, which takes away taxes, which then again, they're going to come back to us and say, hey, we need to raise your water and sewer again. We need to raise your property tax again. But we're only going to do it incremental, even though we already raised it 42% over my entire administration. And we're going to keep raising it, right? But we're going to pitch it like we're doing you a favor.
Yep.
This is what this administration is doing. They should not get rid of the city residency requirement. I believe this. If you want to work in this city, there should be a few things. You should have to live in a city. If you're working for the city
I think
government,
it should be longer than 5 years.
right.
But
You should have to live in a city. If you're in any department, high-end department position, you should be required to live here the entire tenure of your employment.
So at some point, if they keep doing this, like taking away the requirement, couldn't they even say the mayor don't have to live here?
Well, no, that's election.
Yeah,
That's
the
you
election.
gotta.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I don't know. I mean, city council maybe. I don't know.
And when they have this conversation, every time they bring it up and they said there's no qualified people in the city of Wilmington, that's a slap in the face to all of us. Because you're saying that there's no quality people here. No, you didn't do the right marketing, the advertising, and branding for that. Then our salary is not competitive.
Salary is
The
not.
salaries
Our
is-
wages are horrible, and the benefits do not compete with other municipalities right now. They keep talking about, oh, we're losing people to Newark because they don't have a residency. No, you lost those 3 people to Newark
But y'all
because
don't
they
think
got paid $25,000 more.
Yeah, and what makes you think that if this is about quality candidates, then why don't you raise the price up? They do HBCU week. This is why I think what they're doing is really truly not for a good intention. They tell all these black kids from the city of Wilmington, go to an HBCU. We're going to get you scholarships. We're going to give you money to go. But you're not willing to hire them?
A lot of them have tried to come back. To get jobs.
They should
and
create
got
an
denied.
easy pathway to find people to work. We're pushing HBCU week. We're putting all this money into it. We're giving them money to go to school, and then when they come back home, they're unemployed. That makes no sense to me.
And some of the head people, like you can say Starkey and a couple others who went to HBCUs, who graduated from Hamptons and things of that nature. We see the quality that HBCU produces because I do kind of like these individuals. But one of the things I do want to ask before we get out of time, in the same area, that it's going to be in the hands of Dover to say yes or no, right?
So city council has to send it down to Dover first.
Okay.
So they haven't officially voted on the resolution. The resolution has been introduced by Councilman James Spadola. And then once it's voted on, if it's passed, then it has to go down to Dover. And it's very similar. It's a charter change. So
what you're asking the community right now is please make sure you tell your city council folks
to vote no.
to vote No.
Right. And then if
invest in a better marketing of Womatonians and better pathways for our high schoolers and college kids who leave the city to come back and work here. That should be where we put our money and our focus, not on other people. And really think about it. If it was really about that, no one from Newark
Mhm.
or any other city is going to drive to the city of Wilmington for $40,000 to be overworked
Mhm.
for a
Right.
position that's really they can get paid somewhere else for $60,000, $70,000. They're not doing that. So I really don't think it's about that. What I think really I think what the administration wants to do, they want to handpick who they want to work in the city, and they can't handpick some of their friends they want to work in the city because they're not living in the city of Wilmington, or they don't want to make them abide by the rules of that 5 months. I mean, this 5 years. Currently, right now, the chief of staff, Tanya Washington, she doesn't live in the city.
Mm.
And that's why when she made comments the other night about the budget, you don't even live here. What are you talking about? So I said, you don't even live here.
You're gonna get in trouble. But so even look at the direct. We're gonna pay attention and we're gonna show who votes. If it goes to the floor for vote, and if it passes, then I want to make sure the city, the folks who watch us know who supported it being removed, and then we got to then deal with our legislators at the next level. If that happens, okay. What else you have on your agenda?
The last thing I have again is this upcoming Tuesday is the Delaware Earns Town Hall. It's going to be hosted at the POW, 3707 North Market Street, with the state treasurer, AARP, NAACP, Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, and other partners. What this is about a state-run retirement program for individuals who do not have access to a retirement program. So if you have a small business and you have 5 or more employees, you will automatically be rolled into this. If you have under 5, 4 or less, it will be an opt-in opportunity for you. Currently, today, 147,000 individuals have no access to a retirement fund. These are people who are either at that age or very close to that age. Over the next few years, it's going to get to 250,000 pretty soon if we don't do something. So this the EARNS program came out of a report called the Pace of Progress Report, done in partnership with the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League and Dell State University, under the guidance of Eugene Young, to address the economic gap here, the wealth gap here. So this is just one of the steps to try to fix this. There was another program that's formed out of this, was Delaware 529, which is educational savings for youth. But this is the first step, the retirement plans. So we want as many small business owners to come out to the event, and employees as well too, who could take that information back to their employers. So again, it's at 3707 North Market Street, Wilmington, Delaware 19802.
What day is this again?
And this is Tuesday, April the 11th at 5 p.m. to
This
7
coming
p.m.
Tuesday.
Yes.
At 5 to 7.
Yes.
And at 3707.
Yep.
Market Street.
Yep.
At the Y. Not the Y, but the
POW.
The POW. Don't want to get that confused. Well, is there anything else you have, my brother?
That's all I have.
Well, I want to thank y'all, or both of you, for the day's show. And it's just so much is going on, and we're just trying our best to make sure that we cover as much as we can cover. We're going to pay close attention to some of the things, but please, let's start some kind of jingle like 24 is coming. I don't know. Y'all come back. That's your assignment. 24 is coming, and I want some jingle. Okay, we're gonna get a jingle because for everybody who think they can just dictate and can just do what they want to do, and it's gonna be all right. 24 is coming. If there's anything else on your table for today,
No, nothing at all.
anything else on your plate today? Well, I want to thank everybody. Happy Resurrection Sunday to all of you, God's people. And now I say, this is Dr. Curry.
This is Kobe Owens.
Shanae Darby.
See ya.
Take care, y'all.
Talk soon. You threw me off.
Yeah, no.